The elephant in the room with Ohtani, I think, is MVP. Man, if he misses any time, can he win it?
Man, I love Baltimore. A couple years ago, they looked like they were on track to be kind of like what the OKC Thunder have in basketball.
The team that won the division last year, that came within a strikeout or an out of winning the damn World Series, the Blue Jays seem to be the team that's kind of being disrespected a little bit.
Who's our secret team? I want to know the team that we're betting under this year, Sammy. I got to make that wager.
They do not profile like a 10-win team. They profile like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 to 22-year-olds go through the
I made a call, to Vegas. I said, look, we actually need the paper here.
Bear Bets Pod back this week to preview not only the Sweet 16, but the start of the Major League Baseball season with some awards, over-unders, win total, who's going to win, whatever else. But I guess I'll start with Geoff. How's your week going? I know we touched on it a little bit last, Bob, but how's your women's basketball consumption going?
Buddy, last night was a fantastic night as we record this the day after the round of 32 ended with a UConn women up 65-12. I cashed that first half as well. But then I also came back on Q's plus 75.5, right? I mean, I don't know how you don't take plus 75.5,
Yeah.
Sammy. You got to do it, Sammy, when it's up.
75.5, you've got to do it, Sammy.
You got to do it, Sammy.
I've been sleeping since Sunday. I don't know what's going on. Vegas took it all out of me, Will. All of it. It's all gone.
Now, did it take your energy out or your wallet out? They're two different things.
Much more energy than wallet. Although,
Good.
could I get a dog on Friday? It would have been nice to have an underdog cover on Friday, Will.
Wrong tournament to be betting dogs now, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But it's become a bit of a chalk fest this tournament, and it sets up for really good games and really great rounds coming up and great matchups. But it's not the tournament that we grew up with 5-10 years ago. It's just no mid majors, second year in a row. A lot of favorites winning comfortably. So you certainly have to kind of adjust how you look at this tournament. You're going in expecting a bunch of dogs to win and to cover. It's just we're not getting that in the first 4 days anymore, it seems.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the Sweet 16 and kind of recap the first couple of with the first weekend of the tournament. But I guess the big dog in MLB, if you're looking for a little parallel, little segue, your one seed, your dominant team, the Dodgers. They are the only team single digits to win the World Series title. Your defending champion who won a dramatic Game 7 in Toronto last year. That would have been. That was one of the all-time games. Blue Jays had every chance to win, but couldn't complete the upset. So Dodgers a short shot. You got your usual suspects, Yankees, Mariners, Mets, Blue Jays there. I was a little wrong with my interpretation of the Dodgers last year. I thought they were just going to run through the regular season because they were so deep, but they didn't even wind up having the best record in baseball or the National League. And then come the postseason, they absolutely turned it on until finally getting a battle in the World Series. But I know, Geoff, you are obviously not a Dodgers fan.
No.
We're now a Dodger hater. We're now a Giants fan.
Yes.
It feels like if you're to make a bet here, I guess you could look at it two different ways. You could say, all right, I'll just take the Dodgers at plus 230, the best number you can find right now, just to have it in your pocket. Or just say, I'm looking to beat the Dodgers and maybe take a couple of different teams. So anybody you have your eye on?
All right. The Dodgers, remember, guys, again, noted Dodgers hater here. They were one strike away from losing the World Series. So as good as they were last season, right there, they're right there. And then Miguel Rojas hit a home run that, we didn't think was going to happen. So they are beatable. It's going to be tough. Their team might be better this season. Look, I mean, don't you just take two things? I took Ohtani MVP. I don't know why he won't win again this season, right? That's just put it in your pocket. I know it's more expensive than usual, but whatever, man. I mean, he's going to be the favorite all year long. And I think the win total under, right? I think it's 103.5. To your point, Bear, about what happened last year, but apathy has to matter a little bit, right? Like it's a long season. They know that they don't have to break a record. They don't have to win a ton of games. You don't have to win 110 games to be goodwill this season. So I think the under is the way to go. And Ohtani MVP. I bet the Ohtani MVP already.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, and it's funny because last year, and everyone kind of thinks it's inevitable. The Dodgers, forget it. They're gonna why even play the season? They're gonna win it. Not only last year, where Toronto had every opportunity, up 3-2, the miracle in Game 7, all of that. But 2 years ago, the Padres were up 2-1 on them in the divisional round with Game 4 at home, with Dylan Cease going against a bullpen game for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers got out of that. beat up on the Mets, beat the Yankees, as we know, Bear, and then won the World Series. So the postseason is so random. It's not a foregone conclusion the Dodgers are going to win it. But I'm with you. It would be under or nothing. I actually like the under. Dave Roberts said after the season, basically admitted, hey, we were pacing ourselves. We just wanted to be healthy for October. If we had to play another round, so be it, which you don't hear coaches, managers really talk about or admit to. They got guys like Glasnow and Snell and Otani, the pitcher version, that, you know what, they're banged up, they're injury prone. Let's not push them in May, June. Let's just pace them. Let's just let them get healthy, and boom, they'll be good to go for October. And it worked out. It almost didn't, but it did. The one concern, and the other thing too, Freeman, Betts, those guys by the end of the season, 33, 37, quietly, a lot of guys that their ages start with the number 3, but they do have some pretty good pitching depth. I think that a lot of people don't realize. River Ryan, Gavin Stone, the pitching runs pretty deep. But Bear, I'm curious what you think. Yes, Sasaki now, though, can't throw a strike, can't get anybody out, and did the same thing last year in the regular season, but was great in the postseason. So I'm sure they'll nurture him along. So a lot of things to juggle. There's a ton of talent, but I could only look towards under.
Oof. Even when you say that, though, they're going to be favored like 145 times, you know? Yep. And their 7th hitter is probably better than the Rockies' 3rd hitter. So I get it. I get the under.
That's one Rockies mention. Okay. We got
We're going to get over 5.5 Rockies mentions. There's 2. Rockies, 3. I can't remember the last time a team was plus 115 to win the pennant. That's the price. That's the low side of the market. You could get a plus 130 or 135. But if you're willing to take a shot, like I don't know if this is entirely fair, but my big fear is like betting the Mets or Phillies or Braves. They get through the Dodgers and then just flame out in the World Series. So again, maybe that's not fair, Bear, but you can get a team like the Mets at 750, the Phillies at 8-1, the Braves at 10-1, the Cubs at 10-1. I'm kind of looking more long-term NL than I am for World Series.
Yeah, I actually kind of attacked it in that fashion. Sammy, I played the Mets in a lot of World Series matchups with the Orioles, with the Rangers, with the Mariners, with the Blue Jays, with the Orioles. Like I think I said already, I think the Mets are going to be really good. I think the lineup is going to be good. I think Devin Williams is going to bounce back and have a very nice year. I think Peralta can be that anchor at the top of the rotation. McLean back for another year. You would expect and hope that Senga can put together a year. But I'm with you. I think looking to find a team to win the National League and make the World Series and try and amplify your value there might be the way to go. With the Dodgers specifically, Will, you had mentioned it with Roberts saying that the goal wasn't best record, wasn't all these records, weren't these statistics. Have you found yourself, or do you think it's a viable strategy to look at a lot of these Dodgers players, whether it's an Otani on the mound or a Yamamoto on the mound or some of the other, and play some season stat totals under? Have you found anything worth playing there?
Oh, I could only look towards the unders, especially with the pitchers. It's almost like in football, Bear, where these guys get hurt so much in football that playing the running backs, the receivers under, you're bound to have an injury where you're sidelined for 3 or 4 games, and then that clinches you to the under. Same thing with these pitchers. I mean, we've already seen it. The season hasn't even started yet, and it's, today, Ryan Pepio, he's hurt. We won't see you for a while. Lodolo, Hunter Green, Strider's on the IL. I mean, you just go down the line. We haven't even started the season, so these guys are going to drop like flies. And the other thing, too, it's like, when a receiver or running back gets hurt, all right, maybe they'll play this week, maybe they'll miss a week, maybe 2. These pitchers get hurt. It's shutdowns. It's a ramp-up period. You basically don't see them for 3 or 4 months. So I think just blindly betting pitcher unders, you'll probably be, do pretty well. And Bear, I'm surprised you've had time to bet, because it looks like you've been drawing Kate Winslet all afternoon by the way, your background here on the ship. But no, I do like these unders.
Yeah, no, we're coming to you live from the Falkland Islands, where it was a major gale force windstorm today. I know everybody's dying to hear how my vacation's going, but yeah, it was too windy. We couldn't drop the Zodiacs into the water to be able to get ashore, so we couldn't do our shore excursions. Hopefully tomorrow was better. Buenos Aires was awesome. If you ever have an opportunity to get to Buenos Aires, I would suggest doing it. But I found an Otani strikeout total was right around 150, I think, maybe 152. Yeah, that might be a really good under to play, because they're still going to baby him along 4 or 5 innings to start, I would imagine. Don't you think, Jeff, Sammy?
I see 143.5 at one book right now.
Oh
Because
wow, okay. So it's been hit from what I
yeah,
saw.
because I was looking at some of the stuff that that Will mentioned with like the Dodgers, like if you take any of their hitters, like under home runs. I mean, Otani's at, I know he's going to hit more than he pitches, but like 48.5. Tucker's is a little bit lower, 27.5. I mean, those are good ideas to play the Dodgers unders. But yeah, 143.5 is what I see on one book. I mean, it could be, different elsewhere. The books will vary. Sammy probably has more data than I have, 10, they'll be different by 10 strikeouts. So you try to find the right book here when you get these numbers.
All I can think about is Rose telling Bear she'll never let go. I'm sorry. Like, that's where I'm at for the last 90 seconds. We talked on a couple episodes ago about the Skeens ERA prop. I think that's fascinating because he's been, sub 2 in the last 2 years, and you can get like under 2.8 or something like that. I think that's an absurd number. I don't expect him to regress like almost a full run. But the elephant in the room with Otani, I think, is MVP. And I know we're probably going to have that conversation too. But man, if he misses any time, like 3 weeks or so, like, can he win it? I don't want to lay $1.50, that's for sure. Soto 9-1, Acuna 10, Fernando Tatis 25. Is this the Ellie De La Cruz year at 25? If the Reds can take that next leap, I can't take the Dodgers to win I almost said NFC, to win the NL at plus 115, and I can't lay $1.50 on MVP.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the last couple of years. 2 years ago, there was a debate to be had, at least the conversation to be had, with Francisco Lindor at some really nice numbers. Last year, there was a time when Pete Crow Armstrong was the favorite to an MVP. Schwarber was certainly in the mix to an MVP. So, like, as good as he is, and Will is something you like to bring up too, with like voter fatigue. Are we going to give it to you? You can give it to him every year. As long as he's pitching, you can give him the award every year. And that's going to be the conversation. If as long as he stays healthy, okay, we're just going to give it to him. Because it's almost like, okay, it needs to have another award, like the outside of Shohei Ohtani, who is the most valuable player. Because as long as he's on the field doing both things, there's no one more valuable than him.
I think baseball hasn't really shown that though. I mean, Bonds won 4 years in a row. Like they're fine with that because they have one for each league. The NFL is the one that shows that the most, right? The voter fatigue in the NFL feels like it happens all the time. I don't know. I mean, if he hits another 50 home runs, right? Like the Dodgers are the 1 seed again. I don't know how you give it to someone else, right? I mean, a lot of this comes down to, again, like best player and best team. And that would be Ohtani. But if he misses a month, then you're probably going to, pick someone else.
Yeah, it would have to be a month where he didn't hit either, too. So if he hits like 38 homers, and like, which is a down year because his number's 48.5. He hits 38 homers and he has 11 wins as a pitcher, and he's like a 3.5 ERA, which is decent, but it's not. It doesn't blow you away. He's probably still enough to win the MVP. A pitcher almost hits 40 homers with a 3.5 ERA. So it's just the bar for him. He has to underachieve his capabilities by so much, I feel like, not to win it. And I've made the mistake, or I've spent money trying to find other guys like you mentioned, Lindor and other guys where, maybe this guy can win it, maybe that guy can win it. And at the end of the day, you just end up losing bets. Yeah,
and the voters are just enamored with him too. I mean, the voters, every chance they get, they just go out of their way to just pedestal Ohtani, and naturally so. It's going to be very difficult to beat him, but you're going to need some injury help, and you're going to need something like a De La Cruz 40-40 season. Like that's going to be what it takes to beat a guy like Ohtani. Maybe I'm talking myself into De La Cruz right now at 30-1. Maybe.
Maybe Sal Stewart, the rookie behind him, can occupy that cleanup spot in the lineup. Drive him in a bunch. Yeah. He didn't run as much last year, but I think get back to running it. Yeah, you could be in a good position there. So good segue over to the NL, from the NL rather to the AL. We talked about looking for a guy to beat Aaron Judge in the MVP race last year, and nearly had one in Cal Raleigh and the Mariners, and the Mariners are just behind the Yankees, second choice to win the AL. Look, I'm a Yankees guy. Will's a Yankees guy. Like, win total right around 91 or so. Short shot to win the AL, but the AL does feel wide open this year, doesn't it, Will?
It does, and I think you and I kind of drifted towards some of the same teams here, and one of them I feel like is a little too trendy. It makes me nervous, but man, I love Baltimore. I love their lineup. I think, you know what, last year you just throw it away. A couple years ago, they looked like they were on track to be kind of like what the OKC Thunder have in basketball, where it's like, wow, they're really good right away, and they're young, and they're only going to get better. And, you know, they won 100 games, I believe, 3 years ago. Then they won 90 something. And then last year, you just throw it away. All their pitching got hurt. Their hitters regressed, but Trevor Rogers pitched like an ace. It seemed like he really rediscovered what he was early in his career with Miami. Kyle Bradish is a guy getting Cy Young buzz. You add Shane Baz, you get him away from a minor league ballpark, what he was last year, and that lineup might lead the league in homers. You add Pete Alonso to all of the young bats they have. To me, that has all the makings of a team that wins in the mid 90s. Now, once you get in the playoffs, like for us to sit here and to try to determine what's going to happen in short playoff series in October when we're talking here at the end of March is almost impossible. But to me, that's a playoff team. They're built for the regular season for sure.
Tigers rotation's very, very good. I mean, when you're looking at teams that win playoff series, here's Skubal, here's Flaherty, and here's Valdez. You could interchange the order however you want. I mean, Skubal's the ace, as we know. Maybe you go Skubal, Valdez, and Flaherty, and then here's Verlander in the seventh inning potentially at 43, still throwing 97. The offense is not as up to speed as the pitching is, but that's going to be a very difficult rotation to beat. But to your point about, you know, the range of prices, you got a bunch of teams that could be very sexy. Tigers, Orioles, Astros, and Rangers are all in that like 10 to 12 to 1 range. And those will be the teams in Vegas that draw the attraction because people don't want to bet a team at 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. They're not going to bet Seattle at 5 to 1 when you could have bet Seattle at a much bigger number last year. People are looking for that 10 to 1 sweet spot. And Jeff, you got a handful of teams in there. It's basically just pick your poison. Will likes the O's. I'm a little bit more in that Tigers basket right now.
I just want to know if Bear and Will are going to root against the Yankees or for the Yankees. Every year we get on this podcast, you guys bet their unders and you bitch and moan on the text thread to us all year about the Yankees. You know, I mean, the Giants-Yankees start tomorrow. I'm sure we'll get a text tomorrow on the Netflix game like you're upset about something Yankees game 1.
Bear, you want to take it?
I'll root for my bet. Like in the grand scheme of things, like in the grand scheme of things, if they go 90 and 72 or 92 and 70, ultimately, like, doesn't matter. I mean, if I'm over 91 or that'll
You bet they're under, is what you're telling me.
I think it's probably about right. I mean, I worry about the injuries that they have in the rotation. I mean, you're going to get the same type of year out of Stanton. Luis Gil is done. He's shot. You don't know when Rodon is coming back. You don't know when Garrett Cole exactly is coming back. Like you're relying on a lot of kind of, I don't want to say unknown, but you know, was Will Warren going to take the leap? Is Schittler going to be the guy? Like they have some Freed coming back from late in the year, kind of had some arm problems. So like they have some questions in that rotation, but it feels like, look, to answer your question, and I think this is the direction Will wanted me to go, because I think we feel the same way. They are not as bad as we like make them out to be. They're still a really good team that does have a lot of holes. And when you're judging them against the rest of the American League, they're still right there. The team that won the division last year that I want to talk about, the team that came within a strikeout or an out of winning the damn World Series, the Blue Jays seem to be the team that's kind of being disrespected a little bit. I guess the question is now, without Bo Bichette, Bieber is hurt already. I'm sure Trey Yesavage, that shoulder impingement, that won't have him on the shelf for long at all. You know, big guy that throws hard and young. I'm sure he'll be totally fine. You got great years from Springer and Varsho and Addison Barger, all kind of broke through or bounced back. Like, are they going to get that again? The bullpen really isn't great. I mean, Jeff Hoffman, how's he going to respond from what happened last postseason? So I don't know. I could see the Blue Jays taking a little bit of a step back this year, Will.
And plus, the Red Sox are really good. You got almost an automatic win every 5 days with Crochet. You've got a lot of young talent in that lineup, which, you know, if they had Roman Anthony the second half of the season or latter part of the season, who knows? Because, you know, they really needed a big bat. And those guys, you would think, can continue to develop and get better. And Core is a tremendous manager. So it's a good division. The Rays seem to always overachieve our expectations. So, Geoff, though, to get back to your Yankees thing, Bear and I grew up with George Steinbrenner when it was win at all costs, cutthroat, spare no expense, and they're just a watered down JV version of that. That is where the frustration from Bear and I comes from.
I just bet my Giants win total over every year, so I have something to root. So I bet my team to have over wins every year because I believe in my baseball score. Even though we play in division that's like unbeatable and we're probably going to be right around 81 wins and be as boring as possible, I still bet the over because I believe in my team.
I bet a team over in that division that I believe in. I bet on the Rockies over 55.5 wins. Just give me 56. That's all I need. I mean, I think they're going to score runs. With Tovar coming back, okay. I think they got Goodman, like they got guys in the lineup. I think that can produce and score runs. Now, can they get anybody out? That's a different story. But they did play better the last couple months of the year, which they never threatened going over the numbers that we had, which was great when we had the under. But 55.5 is really, really low, and I'm not sure this is 55 and 107 type of team. I think, do I think this is a 60-62 win team? Probably not, but I think they can get to 58, 59 or so. I know, Sammy, you disagree.
Well, not as much as last year. I mean, I sent the picks in. The Rockies didn't make my list for our official baseball show, but I mean, a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I was like, that team's going to suck again. At the same time, though, these numbers get so low, like you could roll out of bed and win 50 games. Then you just got to win 6 more at this point. I'm not betting they're over personally. I may bet a little under. It's not a team that I'm in love with this year. I'm on a different team to go under the win total. So 2 years ago, Geoff, we had White Sox under.
Yes.
Last year we had Rockies under. I think there's a team in the NL East we'll get to, or in the NL Central we'll get to in a second. But their rotation in Colorado is the issue, and we know like they do not prioritize their bullpen. And that bullpen every July is pitching in 85-degree weather, and the balls are flying out of the stadium. The issue is Jose Quintana is arguably your second best starting pitcher right now. Not the greatest thing in 2026. That's all I'm saying.
Who's our secret team? I want to know the team that we're betting under this year, Sammy. I got to make that wager.
It's the Pirates under. Yeah. You got to go Pirates under. First number in Vegas was 72.5. Did you catch the number recently in Vegas? 79.5.
Wow. It's up to 79.5 now, because I bet the under at 78.5 plus money.
There's a 79.5. Now, it's not for everybody because you got to get to Nevada and do it. Let's see. The range right now on Pittsburgh win total is 78.5. No, there's a 79.5 at Rivers too. But again, this has moved 6-7 wins, and I understand we all like Paul Skeens. He only takes the ball every 5th day. So where do you get these other wins? He also doesn't get the greatest run support, and this is an offense that leaves a lot to be desired. Cubs are going to win 90. Brewers could contend for 90. I'm more Reds than I am Pirates, and I'm certainly taking advantage of a team that opened 72.5 and has been bet all the way up to 79.5. I cannot bet the over 79.5.
Fading Livy Dunn. I think we should tag Livy Dunn in this when it comes out for social. This is shameful that you would do this. I think they could be better. Now, better, I mean, there's still a long way to go from where they need to go from where they were. I would say this, if you're going, even if you like them for the over, don't bet the over. Kelly is their manager. If they won 83, 84 games and got into the playoffs, which there's not that much of wiggle room between going over and not making the playoffs. If you're thinking they could go over, they're pretty much flirting with a playoff spot. Kelly, I think, is in that 12 to 14 to 1 manager of the year. He would be on the very short list. They haven't been good in forever. They're always terrible. If he got them to the playoffs, and he did a pretty good job for them last year when he took over, I think him to be manager of the year is much better than the over.
And it's a good way to look at it, because I think in a lot of these leagues, it's kind of like, who won the most games kind of deal. But I think in baseball, they really do look at a little bit more of, okay, this team was 72 and 90 last year, and now they made the playoffs, and they may not have the best record, but they had the most improvements. I can get behind that, even though I'm under 78.5.
In that division, I think a team that could be really bad, and you don't think of this team as being bad. It's almost like the Steelers in football, where they're always either Okay, pretty good, really good. The Cardinals, have you seen their roster? Their opening day starters, Matthew Liberatore, followed by like Dusty May and Andrew Palante and McGree. They don't have a lot of pitching. They don't have a lot of offense. I know 69.5 is low, but St. Louis might be in for a really, really bad year. Anytime you're doing all you can eat food promos to get people in the building, the roster is
I'm
probably
there.
not pretty good.
They're
I'm
our
there.
team. We need to all move to St. Louis and become Cardinals fans and go
That
to
promo will
Busch
end
Stadium
quickly.
every day.
When the Dodgers were bad, they had an all-you-can-eat thing in the pavilions. They don't do that anymore now that they're good and they sell out all their games. But like when they were bad, 15 years ago, that was the promotion. All-you-can-eat hot dogs, popcorn, soda. So you're right. When you stink, is the all-you-can-eat food comes out.
It's a great idea though.
It's funny you bring up food promotions. I think the Cardinals have hit the offseason parlay of check out our food, and we've upgraded the broadcast booth. You're like, oh, that's what you're paying attention to in March. The broadcasting booth. Good.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to the Marlins too this year. I went over 72.5 with the Marlins. I think they are another sneaky type team with the top three in the road. I mean, if Sandy Alcantara can pitch the way he did the last, what I'd say, maybe month of the year last year, he finally looked like the guy he did 2 years ago. Yuri Perez, very good. Max Meyer has got all the talent in the world as a potential number three. Really, really young outfield with Marcy Stowers and Owen Cassidy from the Cubs that they got in the deal. Xavier Edwards could steal a bunch of bases. Like the young catcher they brought up, Augustine Ramirez. Like this is a team that could very easily be one of those playoffs, and that's what, like Will had mentioned with Manager of the Year. Maybe look at flirting with deciding between a Marlins over 72.5 or a Marlins to make the playoffs, because I think this could be a one of those sneaky over type. We talked about who's the sneaky under team that we're going to bet, or who's the under team that we're going to bet. I think the Marlins could be a very sneaky over team this year. I think they could be pretty good.
Could be really good as a dog too, day to day, especially when you get them in that like plus 140, plus 150 range when they're on the road. Like that'll be probably, we always wonder who are going to be the teams that make us money from day to week to week. And it's never the Dodgers. It's never the Yankees. It's never the Mets. It's always that team that's supposed to win about 70 that ends up winning 78 or 79 and cashes a lot as a dog. I would nominate the Marlins as one of those teams, along with a team we'll talk about, the White Sox in the AL Central. But they're going to be a dog a ton this year, Bear. And if they can cash a lot of tickets in that dog range, they're going to make people some money for sure.
Bear, does it make you nervous? Kyle Stowers out a month to start the season at least with a hamstring, and Asteri Ruiz out is going to start the year on the IL too. It's not the kind of team, they're not the Dodgers where they can just afford to lose a couple guys like that. Does that make you nervous?
The Stowers injury has me a little bit worried. I mean, I guess Asteri Ruiz is probably going to be more of a platoon guy, pinch runner guy. That doesn't bother me, but the Stowers injury does have me concerned a little bit, because you're going down to what Heriberto Hernandez, who's kind of a platoon type of guy who's going to get. He was a guy who you loved focusing on last year with like betting him over under a half a hit, because he was usually going to get pulled out of the game when they brought in a pitching change. So those are the type of things I think you need to be aware of too. But yeah, it worries me a little bit, but not enough to get me off of a 72.5. Anything else in the National League in terms of either win totals, awards, player stats that you haven't thrown out there yet, guys?
Yeah, I can hit you with one real quick. Obviously, you're going against Skeens, which is no fun. I mean, this is almost the same conversation as you're having in the MVP market with a guy like Ohtani. Like, okay, you can bet a guy at a big number, but Ohtani's probably going to win, and that's what the market says. This Cade Horton kid in Chicago is looking really good, and there's a big range on him. He's 24. He throws the ball really hard. He's got about 3 pitches now. Still figuring out, how to deal every 5th day, but the potential is there. There's 100 to 1 on him in the market. Just saying, there's also a 75, a 70, a 66, and a 55. So obviously get the best of the number. If the Cubs are as good as I think a lot of people can believe, and you listen to the score in Chicago, they're talking about Horton like he's having a tremendous, last couple weeks or so. I don't think that's the worst idea at 100 to 1. Again, maybe he comes down to 20 and still loses the Skeens, and you can frame that CLV trophy and mail it into Bear. He'll sign it for you. I don't think he should be 100 to 1. That's all I'm saying.
There were some people who had him well over 100 to 1 last year to be rookie of the year and didn't win. I know there were some people kind of unhappy about that.
Last one. Look at the Braves injuries. They're still at 86.5. With all of those injuries, are they really going to be like an 88, 90 win team with these pitchers dropping like flies? I feel like that's asking a whole lot, isn't it?
I think it is, especially when you look at the division they're in with the Mets, the Marlins, who we think are going to be better. The Phillies will always be kind of tough. Yeah, they've got the Nats, who are the worst team in baseball. It does seem kind of high. And again, when was the last time Ronald Acuna was able to make it through a full season? Austin Riley, who I like his RBI total over 90 and a half this year, is a guy who hasn't played a full season each of the last 2 years, and that would have gone under. But prior to that, he's a 100 RBI guy in that lineup. So again, you're betting health when you're worrying about these overs. But I did bet Riley over 90 and a half. I bet Jackson Merrill under 22 and a half home runs. Another guy last year who couldn't really stay healthy, out of the lineup for a while. Really not I don't think he's in that 28 to 30 home run type deal. He's probably more of a 20 home run guy. So I played him under 22 and a half home runs. I played Ezekiel Tovar to lead the league in doubles. It's 17 to 1. He did that a couple of years ago. And I think in that ballpark, teams aren't going to be afraid to really pitch to any of these Marlins, any of these Rockies, because I think people will feel pretty good about their opportunity to score a ton of runs. So I think he's going to see a ton of at-bats. I think 70 to 1 is a good price there. And I mentioned it earlier, Devin Williams going from the Yankees to the Mets. Gave up some home runs last year that really elevated his ERA. But we were talking about this guy 2 years ago as potentially being the best reliever in baseball. He couldn't have just lost it like that. So I think he's going to go to the Mets, and I think he's going to have a big year. So I bet him 16 to 1 to lead the majors in saves as well.
Hell yeah, Bear. Firing from the boat.
Well, what else am I supposed to do? I'm sitting here on the
His excursion got canceled today, Sammy. Come on,
get
man.
off shore today, so I needed to go through and look at some prices.
He was his boat got stuck. Okay, come on. So show some compassion.
Exactly.
Sammy, for
First
Bear.
world. I know exactly
some
what
compassion.
that sounds like. First world
show some
problems,
compassion.
It sounds terrible.
I took Padres over 12 and a half wins in April. Just a little fun. They get 3 with Pittsburgh, 7 with Colorado, 3 with the Angels, a couple with Arizona. I think 12 and a half, 13 wins. I think is doable for the Padres in April.
I worry about the Padres pitching this year. I don't know if they have enough.
I mean, I just need them to win 13 games in April, Bear. Okay. So I don't need 95 wins. So we'll see what happens as they start the season here.
That's a good conversation though. Like, who's that team right behind the Dodgers in the NL West? Is it the Padres? Is it the Snakes? Is it the Gigantes?
My Giants are slightly better. I think the manager is very interesting. I mean, I think if you think the Giants are going to be a playoff team, you look for him to win NL Manager of the Year, right? I mean, you got a guy from college. He's going to be a big story the entire season, the way they handle this team. They're built differently from the coaching staff. Obviously, Posey's done some additions to the roster. Logan Webb's going to be the Iron Man he's going to be. I think that they're probably better than last year, and they've been sort of hovering around 500 for years now. So if you think they're going to be a playoff team, you might want to hit their manager for NL Manager of the Year.
I would also like to reiterate something that we talked about last month when our producer Taylor was like, "This is not a baseball show," and I was talking about the White Sox again. I was having wings with our guy John Murray on Saturday, Bear, and he said, "Make sure you tell Bear we at the Westgate are high on the White Sox." And that's a team that they open closer to 69. Market in America, like DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, open like 66 and a half. There's been a lot of sharp money on over the low numbers, under the high numbers. But you also have to consider Westgate is in the 23 to 1 range. Circa's in the 21 range to win the division. Not that that's going to happen, but you could find them at like 40 to 1, 35 to 1. The Vegas bookmakers are taking a stance that the White Sox are going to be better than market. That's all I'm saying. And John Murray wanted me to remind you of that before the season started.
Well, I appreciate the director at the Superbook letting me know that I need to reach out to him. We're gonna have to commiserate on our Mo Salah top 10 Liverpool moments list. Is the Egyptian King is going to be stepping away from Anfield after the year. Sad times. Hopefully, we can get him another trophy before the year ends. AL. What do we got in the AL awards? Bets, over unders. Anything that hasn't been thrown out there yet, guys?
I did Trevor Rogers 60-1 to lead the league in wins, and Ryan Helsley, the Orioles closer, 30-1 most saves in Major League Baseball. So got home last year with Fried 35-1. I'm chasing that high and hopefully can hit on one of those. But I'm high on the Orioles, so kind of aligning my bets accordingly with Rogers most wins and then Helsley most saves.
Sammy, are the Angels our daily fade team? Is that what we're going to do this year? I think the Angels feel like the team that's just it's gonna be tough.
Are you leading the witness there, Geoff?
I'm just asking you. Are we
If Sammy, if you're unsure, I'm just gonna submit one piece of testimony if this changes how you feel. Somebody on Angels Twitter or an Angels writer posted a picture from inside their ballpark, and all over their ballpark they have billboards of Alek Manoah, who's a recent acquisition. So that kind of shows you where they're at in terms of their franchise.
Is that where he is now? I had no
Yes.
idea Alek Manoah was back with the Angels.
It might be worse than the food and broadcast plug, honestly.
Yeah, complete opposite. How good was he a couple of years ago, though? Like he was like Cy Young level, and then his
He was really
shoulder
good.
completely just shredded apart. I like an Angel, though. I like an Angel over. I played Joe Adell over 27 and a half home runs. I mean, I don't know if he's going to have 39 or whatever the hell he had last year, but I mean, he was a super hyped prospect for the longest time and just seemed like a quad A player for a while. And then 2 years ago, he had 26, and then he completely broke through last year, and it was really the highlight of the Angels season. So do I think he's going to go 35 or 40 again? No, but can he get to 30? Sure, why not? So I bet Joe Adell over 27 and a half. I bet Wyatt Langford under 23 and a half home runs. Again, I think he's kind of like the same deal as a Jackson Merrill. I don't know if he's a 30 home run guy or a 26, 27 home run guy. Has a hard time staying healthy as well. So I bet Langford under 23 and a half, and then had to go against the big dumper. Cal Raleigh under 39 and a half. I think last year was a complete aberration. Hasn't come close to 40 home runs prior to last year. So I took an under 39 and a half there. I'd much rather be holding under than an under.
They're begging you to take the over too on that. They're like, come on in, get it.
40,
right?
40 or 40 homer, big dumper, great nickname. Yeah.
The one bet that I had talked about out here on Boston radio a couple of weeks ago was Roman Anthony to hit at least 20 home runs. You know, a lot of books have gotten creative and they're like, you can now bet 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, like bands of home runs. And Anthony was in that like 19 and a half, 20 and a half range. And then the World Baseball Classic happened. And now he's 22 and a half over minus 120. And a buddy sent me, he's like, I made that Roman Anthony bet. Bam, 22 and a half over minus 120. I'm like, why didn't you bet the 19 and a half? He goes, well, I didn't believe it yet. And then I watched the
World Baseball Classic, the home.
So just three different, numbers there, 20, 21, and 22. But hey, numbers don't matter, as our guy says, right?
Yeah, and that's the same type of deal with Junior Cabanero as well. Like his numbers, his home run totals and RBI totals and prices completely affected by the great WBC that he had.
Painful topic there, Bear.
Yeah, and another one of the great bets that we won't get home, 85-1 to be the MVP of the WBC, and looked like it was going to get home, but the Dominican Republic decided that they didn't want to run the bases properly anymore and wound up losing. And good for Venezuela. That was a hell of a final, and hopefully we can get some excitement from baseball during the regular season. Cash some tickets there. But I want to segue over. There's really no easy segue between baseball and the NCAA tournament. We talked about, are we going to see the the lack of upsets again like we did last year, and sure was that way in the first round. And I know we finally did get the big upset with Iowa knocking out the 1 seed Florida, and you've got the double-digit Cinderella Texas Longhorns, the 11 seed from the SEC, continuing that
Fourth
double
highest budget. Yeah. Cinderella.
exactly. Highest budget, like highest
It's
highest
like when
everything.
Cuse made didn't Cuse make the Final Four as like an 8 seed one year? And it's like that's not a Cinderella.
I think they were a 10 or an 11.
Something like that. It's like that's not High Point's a Cinderella. That's the Texas not a Cinderella.
Cinderella's
VCU
dead.
or
Bear.
George Mason was a Cinderella
Yes.
when they got to it. But it almost the last couple of years with no non-power conference teams getting to the Sweet 16, and the lack of upsets and the margin of victory and some of these massive point spreads in some of these games, it's almost reached a point where the men's tournament is a little bit like how the women's tournament used to be, and even still is. I mean, there were some lower seeds that finally did break through and get to the four within the last few years, but for the most part, it was like 1-1-1-1 or 1-1-1-2, and massive blowouts and no upsets, and that's kind of where we are right now with the men's tournament. So again, maybe this is just a 2-year thing, but I think people are kind of catching on to that right now, and the aforementioned Cinderella, the 11 seed Texas Longhorns, they play Purdue. Purdue, 6.5-point favorite, 7-point favorite or so. In the Sweet 16. Do we anybody have a feel on this game? Do we think Cinderella moves along? Because Sean Miller is one of those guys in the tournament who's been very, very good as an underdog, whether it's been Xavier or wherever he's coached.
Yeah, I would be taking the points or nothing for me, just because you figure Texas play pretty slow. They can get to the foul line. Purdue, they're not looking to run either. I hesitate a little bit to fade Purdue because I'm somebody that had Miami at very good numbers on Sunday, Bear. Plus 8.5, down 4 with 50 seconds left. Usually is a good bet. Usually did not apply to Sunday. That was painful and quite expensive. It would be Texas or nothing. I think they can hang. Make sure you get the 7, though. That 7's a key number where, you know what, if you're down 6, you might foul. If you're down 7, 3 possessions, you might not. But I think Texas can hang in that game, Sammy.
I didn't like that one. I'm thinking about getting the floor on Arizona. I don't know if you guys have heard, this A-Cup kid is pretty good now, apparently. Like
Totally.
He's got a sneaker deal too.
Oh, good for him. I'm happy for him. Yeah, going to Reebok, like Shaq used to be at Reebok. I mean, that's going to be the public side for sure. Arkansas, like they're going to take Arkansas because now Jason Whitlock is saying A-Cup's the number 1 pick, and you're like, all right, here we go. Like nobody knew who he was a month ago. Now he's the number 1 pick, which he's not going to be. I feel like Arkansas is going to get a ton of money. So it's 7.5 now at a couple shops. There are some 8s and 8.5s. That's the other game in San Jose on Thursday. I will 7 would make me very, very happy with Arizona.
I love Arizona too. Look, their biggest issue at times this year is the inability to score for like 5 minutes at a time, right? And part of that is they just don't shoot a bunch of threes and make a bunch of threes. Against Arkansas, everyone scores. Like they're not gonna have a 5-minute drought. And they're big and long and play good defense. Like Arkansas is going to need 40 points from Acuff, in my opinion, to keep up. Like, this is just a bad matchup. Utah State was tougher for Arizona because they just sort of clogged the paint and they're very long. Like, I don't see that from Arkansas in a way that Utah State was. And Arizona ended up covering that game late anyways, right? They were up big and collapsed like everyone else does. But they went that 5 minutes with no field goals. That's not going to happen, in my opinion, against Arkansas. And that's been Arizona's bugaboo all year. That sort of 5-minute stretch where they can't score.
I think they play right into Arizona's hands because they want to run, they want to play at the rim, they want to do everything Arizona wants to do. It's just Arizona does it better. And look at who Arkansas's played recently. They got High Point, and they got Hawaii, and they got Ole Miss in the tournament in the SECs. They got Oklahoma. They got a pretty soft schedule. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, Florida, which is a pretty apt comparison for what Arizona wants to do and how they want to play. Florida absolutely beat them like a drum towards the end of the regular season, beat them by about 40-something points. I'm not saying it's going to be that, but Arizona winning this game by double digits is a bet I'm willing to make, Bear.
And I think if you're looking to play Arkansas, obviously you're playing up the underdog line. the Acuff line, and the fact that Arizona in this position has not been great. They've lost each of the last 5 games in the Sweet 16 or later since the 2001 national title game. They're 5-13 in the Sweet 16 or later. So I think you're worried about Tommy Lloyd blowing another game. You're worried about a lot of like the historical type stuff than this specific Arizona team. That
Yeah.
bad stretch that they had where they couldn't figure out the Utah State press and couldn't make a basket for a while. They still played good enough defense to hang in there. They did wind up getting to the line a couple of times to be able to just kind of weather that storm. I would be very surprised if Arizona did lose this game. So I would certainly be and maybe like what Sammy was saying, I would wait a little bit longer because I think Arkansas will be the public side, and maybe this thing closes at a little bit of a better number for us who, like you were talking about before, with taking Texas +7 against Purdue, maybe laying 6.5 as opposed to 7 might be the difference between a win and a push.
Yeah, when I text you guys on Thursday that the bartender's on Arkansas, you're gonna know exactly what to do. He's made a couple over the years, but generally, it's also worth remembering this part of the tournament and forward. Generally, the spread doesn't matter. You either lay it with a favorite or you take the dog to win, and that's sort of how it goes from the Sweet 16 through the Final Four. The spread doesn't really matter in most of these games.
Our friend Randy put out a tweet this morning, interesting for Arkansas and St. John's, that teams on a 6-game win streak who are underdogs in the second weekend of the tournament since 2015, they're 23-5-2 against the spread. So teams that are hot like Arkansas, sort of maybe out of nowhere, that are underdogs in the second weekend cover a lot of these games. So I don't know if that matters at all to any of us. I still like Arizona. I'm still going to take them. I want to know about Sammy's Illinois Fighting Illini here, who he kind of downplays his alumni status with them. This is a big game. I cannot wait to watch Houston, Illinois. Last game for some reason at like 11 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night.
Yeah, Bear and I are going to be heads up on this one, although I don't love that, the Chicago market is very funny. Like nobody pays attention until a team kind of proves a little bit. And now you flip open the Sun Times or the Tribune. Illinois is good enough to win it all. I'm like, no!
Really? Where you been the last couple of months?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got them in the Final Four, so I'll be on Illinois here, but I'm biased, and I also I'm already buttered. That bread's already buttered. So I think the game should be a pick 'em. And I remember, Bear, we had this talk last week when we were talking about this market. You and I were both looking to go away from Florida.
Yep.
And I just thought numerically Houston shouldn't be 2-1 and Illinois shouldn't be 4-1. And now we have a pretty fair fight here. Clearly a coin flip game. Houston gets the extra couple points because the game is in Houston. It's like a mile or two from their campus. That's great. But if they can't stop the 3-point shot, they're not going to win, period.
Do we think the winner of this game goes to the Final Four?
I mean, they'll be favored, so likely. Yeah, I mean, probably.
Does an Iowa or Nebraska type matchup with whether it's Illinois, whose defense has been a little lackadaisical at times, or with Houston, I think the winner does go. I didn't want to lead you in a direction. I figured I would ask you, but I think this game is for the Final Four, and I'm glad you brought up what we were talking about beforehand, because if you played Houston and Illinois to win the region, you're looking really good right now.
Well, remember this too, Bear. Like Illinois played Penn and VCU. Like this is a much tougher challenge, at least in terms on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Penn was playing defense like that old TSA guy meme where he's like trying to patch it down, and VCU had, after that dunk from Ivisic, like the game was over. You could have just ended the game right there. They're going to struggle at times to score, but the hope is there if you're betting Illinois, you can get a couple of 3-pointers in big moments and go from there. In the other game, Iowa, Nebraska, I was talking to Luke over at Prop Swap. They sold a couple of tickets in the last few days on Iowa. Guys were putting tickets up to sell at 1,000 to 1 on Iowa, and those are going like hotcakes. There's still a couple left. I got some buddies that went to Iowa, and they're like, "What do you think? Should I buy it?" I'm like, you went there and you want a little bit of a sweat. Sure. I mean, Iowa's like 80 to 1 now. Those tickets are for sale at 1,000 to 1.
Yeah, toss up game, take chances. Why not, right? I mean, the fact that they won that game the other night with Sturt's going 0 for 9 from 3 and an 80 somewhat percent free throw shooter going 5 of 10. And it was an amazing win. Just sitting here watching the end of that game. And I know there were some criticisms of how Florida handled it. I don't know. I think the interesting conversation was what Todd Golden said after the game that, we wanted to foul and put a bad free throw shooter on the line and force him to make 2 free throws. Like, that's a pretty interesting strategy. And I'm sure a lot of people out there will hated that was even a possibility. But you know what? If you foul him, the worst probably happening is you're in overtime instead of sitting home right now.
You're in overtime as the better team. Iowa was in foul trouble. You get the last shot. You take losing out of the equation. You do worry about, Iowa makes the first free throw, misses the second, then gets a putback. But with your size, with your rebounding, you don't really worry about that. So that's a tough loss for Florida. And speaking of tough losses, I had Vandy 30-1 to go to the Final Four. I thought they got a bad draw. I thought getting a 5, having to play a road game in that round. And then I've seen that ball. I've seen the video, the still shot of that ball being halfway down with the red buzzer off. And like, how did that ball not stay in? It spins out somehow. Just brutal. But as far as Nebraska, Iowa, I would look towards an under. To me, just not much pace, not much in terms of transition. Two teams playing a lot of half court offense. Yes, they're going to shoot a lot of threes, and that might get you. But I would look towards an under here. I think the winner probably gets to 60. And just talking about Nebraska, Iowa, Jeff, puts me in a food coma, reminds me of Black Friday when they play in college football. So seeing them play for a chance to go to the Elite Eight is definitely unusual.
This is the furthest Nebraska's ever been, which is wild, right? I mean, the radio guys been there 41 years, and this is they didn't win a game, and they end that game the other day the way they did. I mean, just it feels like football, as you said. The total is 132.5. It's very low, but it does feel like first to 60, right? Which ends up being an under type game. So I can't wait to see. This is the first game, right, of the day. I think on Thursday.
First game in that region. I think Purdue, Texas, a little bit earlier.
Oh, a little bit earlier.
I will say, though, Bear, as a Houston guy, as you are, that's a lot of corn to deal with between Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska. You better be ready.
It is. But that'll be really curious to see with that game being played in Houston, how many Husker fans make the trip, how many Illini fans make the trip. 'Cause I know a couple of years ago up there in Boston, there were a ton of Illini fans in Boston for that. So that should be a pretty wound up, pretty loud, awesome type venue. A lot of times you find some stale type venues in the college tournament or whatever, but no, this should be pretty good. I bet Tennessee as well, plus 4.5 against Iowa State, 7.25 to win the region as well. Look, they are not gonna poop their pants and act like they've never seen a half court trap before, like Kentucky did. That was an absolutely disgusting performance by Kentucky against Iowa State the other day. We don't know the status of Jefferson, if he's going to be able to play. Like, you have a top 5-10 player nationally here in this game against a Tennessee team that can defend, slow it down, rebound. That I think that's a bad matchup for Iowa State. I like the Vols here plus the points, and I think if they win here, they would be live against Michigan as well, because that's kind of the way you want to go with Michigan, keep them from getting out and scoring 100 points a game. So I think Tennessee is live here to beat Iowa State, live in the Elite Eight should they do that, and Iowa State team hasn't been past the Sweet 16 since 2000. When they got absolutely screwed in the Elite Eight, having to play Michigan State in a de facto home game. These were the two best teams in the country. Iowa State got a crap seed and had to play Michigan State at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and led late before my man Larry Eustace went absolutely ballistic on a terrible call. So good luck to the Clones. Good luck to the Vols. Good luck, Sully.
Tennessee's a basketball school now. I just love that we get these two matchups in DC. I mean, can you imagine if you had tickets to this? I mean, we don't live in DC, obviously, but you get St. John's and Duke, and you get Michigan State, UConn back to back on Friday night in DC. I mean, you couldn't, I think, ask for a better two games considering the programs that they're playing, the coaches in these games. I think St. John's defense can be a problem for Duke. Will, I mean, obviously, we saw what happened with Siena. TCU kept it close for all, and TCU just couldn't score. I mean, it wasn't like Duke was overwhelming them offensively. I think St. John's defense can be a problem for Duke. I think they're very live. They're getting 6.5 here. I would lead to St. John's.
Me too. Seems like you, me, and the rest of the world is on St.
I
John's.
know.
I'm with you. To me, Dylan Mitchell is a guy that can body Boozer one-on-one, first team all Big East defense, 6'8", rugged, physical. And if you can guard Boozer one-on-one and just stay at home on everybody else, it's like in football when you can stop the run without having to bring up extra guys in the box or whatever the comparison would be. I think that's huge. I think Patino with time to prep and getting points, that's the only way I could look. But Bear, you use the term a lot, dog with fleas. I'm a little worried. I haven't heard anyone say, who I love is Duke. But look, Shire's had his moments here. Shouldn't have lost that game 2 years ago to NC State. That was a bad loss. They had a lead in that game. The clips today were circulating of how they blew that game against Houston, which, rewatching that, it's impossible to believe they blew that game the way they did. So, I mean, it's a coaching advantage. You're getting points. You've got, from a matchup standpoint, you can maybe muck the game up. I still could only look at St. John's, even though it does seem like everyone else is on it.
You mentioned those two games. You look at the 22 games that have been played in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four, beginning with the 2024 Elite 8 favorites. 20-2 straight up, 15-7 against the number. The only two losses are both of those Duke games. So favorites have rolled, and favorites typically have won the last few years. Once we get to this point, Duke has won its last 5 Sweet 16 games, none by more than 7 points, however. And if you look at Rick Pitino, hasn't been a dog in a long, long time, and it's St. John's first Sweet 16 game since '99. So good run for the Johnnies, getting the Big Apple back. I loved Denny Hurley, by the way, talking about how we need the UConn fans and the St. John's fans getting behind each other's team. That way they can have the Big East fourth meeting of the year between UConn and St. John's, with maybe a Final Four berth on the line.
Calling for a truce.
You like UConn? You put on text thread UConn, Bear? Did you like some UConn futures?
Yeah, like I don't know what other numbers are out there. Sammy could probably give a better range, but there were like some 26-1s out there on them to win the title. Like they can't beat Michigan State as a favorite and then beat Duke or St. John's again to get to the Final Four. And 26-1, you're monetizing something. Maybe you get something weird in the other region where Iowa or Nebraska win a couple of games and it's not Houston or Illinois. Like that just seems like a really weird number. I liked UCLA in that game on Sunday, but UConn just came out in the second half and played great. But it just seems like a really big number that's kind of out of whack, Sammy.
26, 25, 25, 25, 22, 20. So definitely
maybe it's
26.
more. Maybe it's more that UCLA. I mean, they missed it. They're out their best player, and Denton play well, and maybe they didn't view that game as that impressive to beat UCLA in that manner. I don't know, Bear. Maybe that's the best reason why they're such a long shot still. That's the only guess I can make.
Yeah, like I have UConn tickets from the beginning of the year at worse numbers than that. So it's like, you got to be kidding me. But other region which we haven't talked about, well, does anybody like anything in the UConn Michigan State game before we head on over?
I'll bet a little on Sparty, but I don't love it as much as I love Illinois. We'll see what happens, Bear. That number has gotten a little bit more expensive. Open 1, now we're seeing some 2s and maybe some 2.5 by tip-off on Friday. People do like betting UConn for sure because of the recent success of the program.
Michigan, 100 points each of the last 2 games, right? Did they get to 100 in both?
No, almost.
Almost 100 in both. But Alabama with the big win over Texas Tech to get there. Now Michigan's the lone double-digit favorite in this round. Alabama's been bounced by a number 1 seed each of the last 2 years, and this is typically around. I know Alabama did get to the Final Four a couple years back, but it feels like this is where the road kind of ends for Bama, right? Michigan can't wait to to go up and down the court with these guys.
There's always the caveat with Bama. If they shoot, 22 of 41 from three and you go cold from three, then who knows? But other than that, I'm with you. This seems like Michigan. I'm not like cutting in line to bet Michigan and lay the points here, but I share your sentiments.
I saw that if Alabama wins outright, Portnoy is going to double Rico Bosco's salary for 10 years. Did you see that? Oh, Bear, that's right. You're on the Titanic. You didn't see that clip today.
I am.
Rico's got a hedge. Rico's got to take some Michigan money line to hedge. That's a nice little hedge there.
It's a great offer. So yeah, if Alabama wins outright, his salary is doubled for 10 years. I would love a deal like that.
That's a hell of a bet. Oh, Rico better ante up and take a little Michigan. You can't 10.5 on the money line. It's a lot, but
I think you just do Michigan to win the region. I mean, you could middle yourself for sure, but you're not laying that big price.
Michigan over 92.5 points. I mean, they obviously can have a cold stretch in this game, but that's a lot of points. But
we know Bama's going to run, Jeff. We know that.
Oh, I know Michigan can run too. They could go with them. So I might eye that at some point, or just wait. Maybe the game starts slow and you get a better number. This is an early game, so I'll stay awake for that one. Okay, so that's one's at 7:35.
Good man.
I was just checking if I mean, a 10-10 tip off. Do we really need a 10-10 tip off? Is that really something that we have to every year?
They're usually later too.
Well, yeah, of course they're later because the first game takes longer than they schedule for 2 hours. We know it takes longer than a 30-minute wait. It's whatever, man. Everyone complains about it every year.
Sitting there 1 a.m. The under 4 TV timeout, eyes barely open. It's just like forget it. So, Sammy, how are we feeling about the 1 seed bet? Do you think you're going to get You think you're going to get 2?
I think we'll get 2. Left? I saw some updated math, 2.5 under minus 300 or something like that. We're going to get 2, barring something crazy, but not 3. Like I've got 3 in my Final Four. One of them are going to slip up, but the 1.5, I think, Will, you texted us Selection Sunday. It was 1.5 over minus 30. Clearly with one of them out, you got Florida out and it's still 2.5 with a lot of juice to the under. We should get 2.
Yeah. I took the over. I took under 9.5 for some of seeds as well. And I took over 12.5 Big 12 wins. So I feel great about those 3 futures right now. I mean, I need some wins from the Big 12, obviously, but I think we all like Arizona to win. And, we're split on Houston. Maybe Iowa State gets to win. This really comes down to Arizona just getting to the Final Four and have an opportunity to win that wager. But the under 1.5, I was fine to. And my favorite bet was the one we talked about. Did we talk about this last week? The seeds 13 through 16 under 1.5 wins. I don't think I even got. I think Siena was the closest one to getting a victory between any of those 13 and 16 seeds.
Yeah, that was a scary time because Siena was in that game, and the fact they were in that game without a bench at all, without a single substitution, and we're in there.
You could tell 6 minutes left. It was going to go Duke's way, but it was hairy for a while.
Thanks to Will. Thanks to Sammy. Thanks to Jeff. Thanks to my Wi-Fi working tremendously here so we can kick this around. Assuming we'll be back next week, kick around the Final Four and whatever else happens to be on my mind. So thanks, guys. Thanks to you for listening, watching, rate, review, subscribe out there. Hope you have a great Sweet 16 weekend. Remember, bless you bet. Where you lose and you win.